Introduction: The 8 Worldly Dharmas. We dwell in a world of constant flux, a universe that evolves according to inherent natural laws. Optimistic souls perceive this world as a vibrant rose garden, brimming with light and joy, whereas the pessimistic view it as entirely thorny. Through the lens of the pragmatic, however, life is neither solely the pink hue of bliss nor the gloom of darkness. It is a complex tapestry where light and shadow coexist. A person of understanding is not swayed by the tangible beauty of the rose. Instead, they perceive it truthfully for what it inherently is. They are well aware of the nature of its thorns, looking at them realistically and cautiously to avoid the injuries they might inflict. In the flow of time, akin to the pendulum of a clock that never ceases to swing back and forth from left to right, everyone must face such situations without exception. These situations are gain and loss, honor and disgrace, praise and blame, happiness and suffering. Those who possess the strength, willpower, resilience, wisdom, and clarity can overcome the 8 worldly winds of life, or the 8 worldly dharmas in Buddhist teachings. Part 1. How do the 8 winds affect humans? There is a fascinating story about Su Dongpo and Zen master Fo Yin living during the Song dynasty, late 11th century. Su Dongpo was a renowned poet, not just a poet but also a deeply learned Buddhist scholar. He took great pride in his literary and Buddhist knowledge. He frequently engaged with Zen master Fo Yin. The two shared a close bond and often exchanged thoughts on Buddhism. Here's a Zen story. One day, at the request of a Buddhist follower, Zen master Fo Yin was speaking on Dharma. Hearing of this, Su Dongpo came to listen. The lecture hall was so packed that there was no room left. Seeing Su Dongpo arrive with no place to sit, the Zen master said, "There is no seat here for high officials. Please, feel the inconvenience to wait for another occasion." Su Dongpo, not to be outdone, replied in Zen language, "If there's no seat, please inconvenience the master to lend his 4 great elements body for a seat." The Zen master responded, "All right, I will lend the 4 great elements body to the high official on one condition. You must answer my question. If you cannot, please inconvenience the high official to leave his jade belt behind for the temple as a memento." Confident in his literary prowess, Su Dongpo readily accepted without looking for a tactful refusal. The Zen master then posed, "The 4 great elements are essentially void, and the 5 aggregates are non-existent. Where then should the high official sit?" Su Dongpo was speechlessly stuck, for this body composed of the 4 elements of earth, water, wind, and fire is not truly existent, leaving no place for the high official to sit. Su Dongpo had no choice but to accept the challenge and left his jade belt with the Zen master, a relic that remains preserved in the Jinshan temple to this day. On another day, he visited Zen master Fo Yin, but due to Buddhist affairs, the master was not in the temple. Su Dongpo waited for a long time and composed a poem he considered a masterpiece beyond criticism. The original poem by the layman Su Dongpo goes as follows. "In the palm of the sky, a lotus flower. Its radiance illuminates the great heavens. The 8 winds cannot sway. The golden lotus shines undisturbed." He meant to say that Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, was an enlightened being whose radiance shines everywhere, and the 8 winds cannot move him, remaining unmoved. he left the poem before departing, implying to his friend that he too understood the 8 winds and remained unmoved. Now, the 8 winds have no effect on him. What trick does this high official want to play this time, having lost a debate with the Zen master before and left his jade belt behind? Zen Master Fo Yin, upon reading the poem, appreciated its profound meaning but knew all too well that Su Dongpo's sensitivity and intellect crafted this poem, not from diligent cultivation or enlightenment through practice. Instead of praising Su Dongpo to encourage him, Zen Master Fo Yin did the opposite. He marked the words lower wind as breaking wind and instructed his servant to return it to Su Dongpo. Just as Zen Master Fo Yin predicted upon reading the master's comment, Su Dongpo was furious and immediately rowed a boat across the river to Jinshan Temple to confront the master about the reason behind his critique. Zen Master Fo Yin, anticipating this, greeted him at the riverbank. Upon seeing the master, Su Dongpo immediately voiced his complaint. "Where did my poem go wrong that the master dared to?" Zen Master Fo Yin, with a smile, asked. "The great official says the 8 winds do not move him, so why now does he alone row across the river?" Just because of a single word, lower wind, the great official has reacted thus. What more if it were a storm? At that moment, Su Dongpo realized that his understanding was merely superficial, based on words and meanings alone, and even a slight wind could lift him to the skies, let alone the 8 winds not moving him. The 8 winds in Buddhism refer to the 8 worldly conditions, the measures of a true practitioner's progress. These winds often disturb and confuse people, leading to happiness, joy, or sadness and suffering. Layman Su Dongpo, skilled in study and understanding but not in practice, was moved to compose his poem by his keen intellect, thinking he had attained enlightenment. Hence, he was proud, believing himself a descendant of the authentic Zen lineage, and composed the poem to impress the Zen master. Unexpectedly, not only did the Zen master not praise him, but he also critiqued him sharply, like throwing a bucket of cold water in his face, causing him pain and prompting him to reflect and realize his mistake. From then on, the layman held Zen Master Fo Yin in even greater esteem. Our lives are seldom at peace, true happiness fleeting. No sooner is it gained than lost, a cycle repeating daily due to being constantly buffeted by these 8 winds. Therefore, to establish happiness and tranquility in our daily lives, we must maintain steadfastness in our minds when interacting, speaking, and acting within bounds to not be swayed by these worldly winds. For in gain, we revel in joy, feeling happiness, and in loss, we succumb to worry, sadness, and suffering. Zen Master Fo Yin, without resorting to preaching sophisticated scriptures or profound dharma, simply used Su Dongpo's poem and his critique of the words lower wind to awaken him, showing the way back to oneself to find the source of true happiness. Part 2. Gain and Loss. In the normal course of business, entrepreneurs face both gain and loss, or in other words, profit and deficit. When profits are made, people generally feel content and joyful. This reaction is entirely natural. Whether those profits are earned rightfully or not, they bring a joy that everyone desires and seeks. Life would not be worth living without those moments of joy, even if they are temporary and fleeting. In this world full of disputes and instability, it is rare for humans to enjoy such moments of happiness that invigorate the spirit. Such joys, even if material, will undoubtedly make us healthier and extend our lives. However, when faced with failure and loss, sorrow begins to emerge. We may smile easily at profits, but doing so in the face of failure is not as simple. In many instances, severe failures can drive one to despair, even leading to suicide if one cannot bear it any longer. In such times, it is crucial to be strong and keep a calm mind, not letting oneself become overly distraught. In the battle with life, everyone experiences ups and downs, and we must be prepared to endure and confront, especially in tough situations. Thus, disappointment can be alleviated. When we lose something, it's natural to feel sad, but sorrow can't help us retrieve what we've lost. We should think that maybe someone else will enjoy it, even if they might not deserve it. Hope that they will find joy, peace, and happiness from it. Or we could console ourselves. This is just a minor loss, not very significant. Or embrace a higher philosophy. Nothing is really mine. Nothing truly belongs to me. In such situations, we need to keep our minds calm. During the Buddha's lifetime, a lady named Malika came to the monastery to offer alms to Venerable Sariputta and 500 other monks. While preparing the offerings, she received news that her husband and all her children had been killed in a dispute resolution. However, she did not show any sadness. She calmly put the letter in her bag and continued to offer food to the monks as if nothing had happened. Meanwhile, a nun carrying a jar of honey and milk slipped and broke the jar. Thinking that the donor might grieve over the lost jar and its contents, Venerable Sariputta comforted her, saying, "All that is breakable will someday break," asking her not to be troubled by it. The lady then took out the letter from her robe and replied, "Venerable Sir, that is but a minor loss. I've just received news that my husband and children have all been killed, but I have kept my calm and continued with the act of giving. What is this jar compared to that misfortune, Venerable Sir?" The courage of that lady is truly admirable. On another occasion, the Buddha and his disciples spent the rains retreat in a village at the invitation of a Brahmin. However, this person forgot his duty to care for them. Throughout the 3 summer months with nothing to eat, the Buddha and the monks serenely accepted horse feed offered by a charioteer. We must strive to accept loss with courage and joy, because loss does not occur just once or twice in a lifetime, but is quite frequent. We need to face it with a mindset of joyful relinquishment, viewing it as an opportunity to practice and develop our noble qualities. Part 3. Honor and loss of honor. Honor and loss of honor are a pair of unavoidable circumstances in life that we must confront in our daily lives. Honor. We delight in honor and fame, and despise loss of honor. Honor fills our hearts with joy. The loss of it causes us pain. We crave becoming famous. Many long to see their images on magazines at any cost. We are overjoyed when our actions, however meaningless, are publicized. Sometimes we seek publicity excessively. Many worry upon seeing their images in the press. To gain honor, many are ready to bribe or give large sums of money to influential people to make themselves known. Some display their generosity by donating to hundreds of monks or more. Yet, they are indifferent to the suffering of the poor and needy in their neighborhoods. These are human weaknesses. Most have ulterior motives. Altruistic acts without self-interest are rare in this world. Most worldly people keep secrets for their own use. So, who is truly good? How many are genuinely pure in their motives? How many are truly selfless? We need not chase after fame or honor. If we deserve honor, it will come to us without seeking. Bees are attracted to flowers laden with nectar. Flowers do not invite the bees. Indeed, we naturally feel happy, and even more, ecstatic when our name spreads far and wide. But we must realize that fame, honor, and glory are fleeting. They dissipate and dilute into the air. Loss of honor. It often takes years to build a magnificent building. In a minute or two, with modern destructive weapons, that building can be easily demolished. It takes years or even a lifetime to build a reputation. In a blink of an eye, a hard-earned name can be tarnished. No one is exempt from devastating criticism that begins with a but. Yes, he is very good. He does this and that, but his entire good record is stained by the so-called but. You could live a life like the Buddha but not be exempt from criticism, attacks, and slander. The Buddha was the most famous person, yet he was also the most slandered at the time. Some of the Buddha's opponents spread rumors that a woman regularly slept overnight in the monastery. Failing in this vile plot, they spread rumors among the populace that the Buddha and his disciples killed the woman and buried her body under a pile of withered flowers in the monastery. The conspirators later confirmed themselves as the culprits. When his historical mission succeeded, and many came to seek his teachings, the Buddha's detractors accused him of stealing mothers from their children, separating husbands from wives, and hindering the nation's progress. Failing in all their schemes to harm his noble character, the Buddha's cousin Devadatta, a jealous disciple, plotted to kill him by rolling a boulder down upon him, but failed in this plot as well. If such was the unfortunate fate of the flawless Buddha, what would be the fate of an ordinary, imperfect human? The higher you climb, the more you make others take notice. Your back is exposed while your face is hidden. The scrutinizing world will reveal your flaws and anxieties, but overlook your outstanding virtues. The wind blows away the chaff, but keeps the seed. The sieve retains the coarse, but lets the fine through. The cultured take the refined and discard the coarse, while the uncultured keep the coarse and discard the refined. There is no need to waste time correcting false reports unless circumstances force you to clarify. Your enemies would be pleased to see you in pain. That is what they desire. If you remain indifferent, such distortions will fall on deaf ears. When seeing the faults of others, we should act as if we were blind. Upon hearing unfair criticism from others, we should behave as if we were deaf. Speaking ill of others, we should conduct ourselves as if we were mute. It's impossible to prevent accusations, rumors, and misconceptions. The world is full of thorns and pebbles. We cannot remove them all. But if we must walk among these obstacles, instead of trying to eliminate them, which is impossible, we should heed the advice to wear a pair of shoes to avoid getting hurt. The Dharma teaches, like a lion that does not fear the noises, like the wind that does not cling to the nets, like the lotus that is not tainted by the mud from which it arises, wander alone like the rhinoceros. As the king of the jungle, the lion knows no fear. By nature, it is not frightened by the roars of other animals. In this world, we may hear contradictory reports, false accusations, and demeaning comments from loose tongues. Like the lion, we should not listen. Like a boomerang thrown that returns to its original place, false rumors will end where they began. It's astonishing how great persons have been slandered, maligned, poisoned, tortured, and shot. The great philosopher Socrates was poisoned. The noble Jesus Christ was cruelly nailed to the cross. The harmless Mahatma Gandhi was shot. So, is it a danger to be a person of goodness? Yes. While alive, they are attacked, assaulted, and even killed. After death, they are revered as saints and honored. In truth, Great individuals do not care for the fame or criticism of the world. They are not angered by criticism nor overjoyed by praise. They simply do what they feel needs to be done without concern for whether their contributions are recognized by others. Part 4. Praise and Blame. Once, a Brahmin invited the Blessed One to the monk's residence. At the Brahmin's request, the Blessed One went. But instead of receiving him properly, the Brahmin poured out a series of extremely coarse and filthy words. The Blessed One, with grace, inquired, "Hey Brahmin, have visitors ever come to your house?" "Yes," the Brahmin replied. "When you know guests are coming to your house, what do? "I prepare a sumptuous meal to entertain the guests," the Brahmin replied. "But what if the guests are busy and do not come? Then my family and I share the meal." "Very well, Brahmin. Today, you invited the Tathagata to the monk's residence, and you entertained the Tathagata with extremely foul and abusive words. The Tathagata does not accept them, so please take them back." The Blessed One did not get angry, did not retaliate, but with kindness returned to the Brahmin what he had entertained the Blessed One with. When praised, we feel elated, while when blamed, we feel distressed. Between praise and blame, the Blessed One taught to maintain a calm mind, neither too joyful nor too sorrowful, like a solid rock unaffected by the wind. Praise, if sincere, should be cherished. If insincere, it is flattery meant to deceive. But in any case, we should consider it like sounds in the wind, best not to be affected. Usually, a compliment has a long-lasting echo, and one can easily achieve their desires through praise. A sincere compliment is enough to captivate the listener even before it is spoken. When starting a conversation, if one praises the audience, they will listen attentively. Conversely, if one criticizes them, the reaction will be very negative. Of course, praise must contain sincerity. Educated individuals will recognize and not accept flattery. Sincere individuals, when they praise, do so genuinely without jealousy. And if they criticize, it is also out of compassion to make the recipient better. Because, as Malcolm Forbes said, without criticism, there is no success. The Blessed One taught, one who speaks much is criticized. One who speaks little is criticized. One who does not speak is also criticized. In this world, no one escapes criticism. Criticism is almost like the world heritage of humanity. Most people tend to find faults in others but overlook their virtues and beauty. Sometimes we do good deeds but are suspected of having ulterior motives. Sometimes we strive to help others, extend our hands to friends in need, yet they still find fault with us and turn away when we face difficulties needing help. Those who slander the Blessed One are often the ones with malicious intent. However, like an elephant on the battlefield enduring all arrows aimed at him, the Blessed One endures all insults with equanimity. He does not get angry, does not feel sorrow, nor does he retaliate against those who criticize or slander him. Because he believes, hatred does not cease by hatred in this world. By love alone does it cease. This is the eternal law. No religious master has received as much praise and as many insults as the Blessed One. The more you work, the greater you become. The greater you become, the more criticism and condemnation you face. Remember that slandering others is the weapon of the mediocre. Once, others from a different faith criticized him and his disciples so severely that the Venerable Ananda asked the Blessed One to leave that place for another village. "Ananda, if the people in that village also curse us, what shall we do?" "Revered Lord, we shall move to another village." "Ananda, if we do that, the entire territory of India will not have enough space for us. Be patient. Natural curses will come to an end. Curses and insults are ordinary. The more we serve, the more we work, the greater we become, and the more we must endure humiliation and curses. The ancient Greek philosopher Socrates had a very harsh wife who often berated him, especially when he went out to help others. But there was one time when she was busy with an important task and forgot to curse Socrates when he went out. Socrates left home with a sad face. His friends noticed and asked why he was so sad. Socrates replied that because today he was not scolded by his wife. He then explained that being scolded by his wife was an opportunity to practice patience. Today, he missed that opportunity, so he was sad. This is a valuable lesson for everyone. When we are cursed, we must consider it an opportunity to practice patience. Instead of getting angry, we must be grateful to those who curse us. Part 5. Happiness and Suffering. Happiness and suffering stand as the ultimate dichotomy, wielding profound influence over humanity. What brings comfort is happiness, sukha, and what entails hardship is suffering. Normal happiness stems from the satisfaction of desires. Yet, as soon as one desire is fulfilled, another form of happiness is sought. Thus, our selfish cravings are never satisfied. The common enjoyment of humanity ultimately revolves around sensual pleasure. Sensual pleasure is the highest and often the sole happiness for an ordinary person. However, this happiness is illusory and uncertain. Can material possessions truly bring genuine happiness? If so, why do those with great wealth still experience dissatisfaction in life? In developed countries, where material wealth reaches its pinnacle, not every citizen feels happy. Clearly, material possessions alone cannot lead humans to complete happiness. Does the domination of the world bring happiness to people? Money does not bring happiness, so does the domination of the world bring happiness? Alexander the Great conquered almost the entire world, but was he happy? When reading the pages of modern history, we are horrified to learn that millions of innocent people were killed by dictatorial leaders like Pol Pot, Idi Amin, Hitler. They believed they could create a new world by eliminating those who were not like them, those whom they deemed inferior. But what have they achieved? The whole world condemns and curses them. Often the lives of politicians, those with great power, are very insecure, as the cases of Saint Gandhi and U.S. President John Kennedy illustrate. True happiness can only be found within, internally, not defined by concepts such as money, power, glory, or territorial conquest. If possessions are gained through power, injustice, deceit, they will be a source of suffering for their owners. What one person considers happiness may not be happiness for another. Wine and meat may be delicious to one person, but could be poison to another. The Buddha taught about 4 types of worldly happiness. One is happiness attained through possessions, including wealth, health, longevity, strength, beauty, and children. The other is happiness derived from knowing how to enjoy one's possessions. Ordinary people all enjoy indulging. The Buddha did not advise everyone to renounce worldly pleasures, but rather to know how to enjoy them without causing suffering. Enjoyment should not be solely for oneself, but should also involve sharing and helping others. The food we eat passes through our throats and is gone, but if we share it with others, it will endure. What we give, we will receive in return. We will be remembered by people for the good deeds we have done for the world. The Prophet Muhammad said, "What we can claim as truly ours is what we give away." The third is the happiness of being debt-free. If we live frugally and contentedly with what we have, we will not incur debts. Those in debt always live in anxiety and shame, especially towards their creditors. Even if one is poor, if they are not in debt, they will feel lighthearted and relaxed. Fourthly, what happiness compares to living without blame? Those not blamed not only find joy within themselves, but also positively influence others through the magnetic field of happiness they radiate around them. Suffering. Most people delight in the material pleasures of the five senses, yet there are also those who find joy in renunciation, in letting go. Not indulging or rising above material pleasure is happiness of the spirit. The common happiness of people is also good, but it often comes with suffering that not everyone can endure. Suffering comes from many sources, from old age, from illness, from changes, from loss. When ill, we should learn to accept and comfort ourselves by thinking that the illness is already mild. It could have been worse, and we might have died. Parting with loved ones is also a form of suffering. But we should think that all relationships must come to an end at some point. This is an opportunity for us to practice letting go. Or we can think that this is the result of the karma we created in the past. In general, in life, things not going as planned happen more often than things going as planned, so we must learn to adapt and overcome obstacles. There is a saying, when we laugh, the world laughs with us, but when we cry alone. Even the Buddha, who had transcended all worries and karmic retribution, still had to endure illness and accidents. He suffered from headaches, backaches, and had his foot injured by a stone thrown by Devadatta. He had to live alone in the forest for 3 months when the monks in Kosambi divided and did not listen to him. Regardless of the circumstances, the Buddha remained unwavering. Amidst suffering and happiness, the enlightened one always maintained equanimity. And death is perhaps the most painful thing for everyone. Some deaths are very difficult to endure, but everyone must die. There are no exceptions, either sooner or later, in one way or another. Like ripe fruit must fall, the sun must rise and set, flowers bloom in the morning and wither in the evening. Knowing that it is inevitable, we should learn to let go so that when impermanence comes, we are not afraid or bewildered. Conclusion. In the Anguttara Nikaya, Volume 3, the Buddha taught about these 8 worldly winds. There are 8 worldly conditions, O monks, that keep the world in turmoil. What are the 8? Gain and loss, fame and disgrace, praise and blame, pleasure and pain. These are the 8 worldly conditions that keep the world in turmoil. Monks, one should develop a means to overcome these 8 worldly conditions. Monks, one should learn this. He also taught, when in contact with the world, the mind of an arahat remains unshaken. Amidst gain and loss, fame and disgrace, praise and blame, happiness and suffering, let us maintain the equanimity of our minds. Perhaps we should follow the example of the earth. Like the earth, whatever is thrown upon it, whether clean or unclean, whether fragrant or foul, the earth treats it all equally, neither getting angry nor showing favor. Similarly, in the face of good and bad, let us keep our minds truly peaceful. Before his death, King Alexander called all his warriors and said, "I'm about to leave this world. I have 3 wishes, and I want you to fulfill them." After struggling to speak, Alexander conveyed his last 3 wishes. The first wish, he wanted his coffin to be carried by the best doctors of the time. The second wish, he wished for his soldiers to scatter all the gold, silver, and treasures that he had spent a lifetime accumulating along the path as they carried him to the cemetery. The third wish. He wanted his hands to be left dangling outside the coffin, swinging freely and naturally in the air for all to see. The warriors obeyed the king's commands through tears. Everyone was greatly surprised and curious about these strange requests, but no one dared to ask the reason. The advisors boldly kissed his hand and said, "Your Majesty, we will carry out your orders. But may we know why you wish it so?" Finally, the king explained that these were the 3 lessons he had learned in life. The first wish. He wanted the best doctors to carry his coffin because he wanted people to see that when the time has come, even the most skilled physicians cannot change anything. A doctor cannot truly cure people, especially when faced with death. Doctors are completely powerless. I hope people will learn to cherish their lives. The second wish, to scatter gold, silver, and treasures along the way. He wanted people to realize that the wealth and possessions accumulated throughout one's lifetime cannot be taken away when one dies. They will remain on this earth forever. Death is the end. People should not pursue wealth as I did. I spent my whole life pursuing wealth, but I will waste most of my lifetime. The final wish was to let his hands dangle outside the coffin, intending for people to see that we come into this world with empty hands and leave with empty hands. All the lands he conquered, the mighty armies, sharp swords, and wealth, all have no significance. After saying this, he closed his eyes and took his last breath. Alexander the Great's final wishes are profound lessons for us about life. While we still can, let's learn to appreciate the present. Yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. Because once faced with death, we can't take anything with us, returning empty-handed to dust.